Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Triple B Black and Gold Dynasty. Typical Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And I got something for everybody because it's Super Bowl week. And we have a friend of the show. But ladies and gentlemen, he is a super duper Philadelphia Eagles fan. That's right. Welcoming back to the show is my man, Rich Smoke. He's been on the show a couple times. He's full of NFL knowledge, and he's going to talk about his Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. But before that, we're going to get him on here. We're going to talk a little bit of Steeler rumors and some Steeler news. Rich, how you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm a couple days away now. It's Wednesday, so I'm 5 days away, man. 5 days.
How you handling it yourself? How you handling yourself being in the big game here? Because it's great to have that feeling. You got 2 weeks and you're every day it's something new with the news and stuff like that. So how you handling yourself getting ready for Sunday?
First of all, I have not watched any hype videos. I do go on Facebook videos all the time while I'm at work, and I'm just kind of like, taking a break for a minute. And I scroll past every Super Bowl prediction video, every single comparison video, every fan-made video. I refuse, man, because I know what happens. Here's what happens. I go against the Birds win. I start saying we're going to dominate, we're going to win, there's going to be a great game. I told you this a little bit before the show,
right?
Which I'm embarrassed to say this publicly, but hey, why not?
It's okay.
Back when the Eagles played New England, and we were, they were favored to win by like a couple, and I took them anyway. I took New England for $50 in that game against Philadelphia in 2017.
And you said,
and it hurt.
But you said that was the best $50 you ever spent.
100%. Oh, I would do it again. I would do it again. 100%. If somebody told me right now, if you put a $50 bet on Kansas City to win, but you're going to lose the $50, I do it right now. I'll do it 3 times. I don't care. I'll do $150. It's cool. My sister gets to go to the game. I mean, she just won tickets at work, so her and my brother-in-law are going to the game, and I'm extremely bitter. I don't have to talk to me anymore. So that was a fun conversation.
They're starting to chime in on the Facebook site. My boy Craig Fitzpatrick is a huge Eagles fan. He said,
there we go.
He's multitasking. He said, "Fly Eagles, fly!
Fly Eagles, fly! Baby, go Birds!"
So how is it is? What's the thrill of that side of the state? Like, when you guys, because you did it a couple years ago, you guys are back in the big game. Yeah. I'm sure it's like electricity over in that side.
I mean, I'll be in the city. I mean, I live a little bit outside the city, but I will say that I'm going to be there for the game on Sunday night, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, so everybody that I've talked to is going crazy. I mean, the houses are being decorated. You're seeing green lights everywhere. And it's funny because it's almost like a culture in Philadelphia. Like, if you're wearing something Philadelphia and you walk past somebody, maybe it's somebody you would never talk to, somebody you would never look at. It's, hey, go Birds, go Birds. It's how we say hello. It's like, go Birds, go Birds. We just keep on walking. Like,
so that's what you do on that side of the state.
It's just what we do. Like, for example, like if you're wearing an Eagles shirt and I walk past you, I would probably never say hi usually, just because I don't talk to people. Well, I don't naturally talk to people when I walk past them, right? But it's like every person you pass, they're either send it to you first or you're sending it to them first. It's, hey, go Birds. Yep, go Birds, man. It's all we do. Okay. Like people that you would never talk to. Like homeless guys walk by, hey, go Birds. I'm like, hey, go Birds. You might not be able to watch it on TV because you don't have one, but go Birds. So it's a culture, man. It's a culture. And I'll tell you what, like as much people hate Philadelphia fans,
you guys are
the most,
I believe you guys are the most hated fan base, probably in the top 2 in the NFL, maybe in sports as we know it.
Yep.
Just in
I think
my
Dallas
opinion,
is number 1.
Dallas probably is number 1, but you guys have a tripod of sports teams. You got the Flyers, the Eagles, the Phillies, and on this side of the state, I mean, it's bad juju.
Yeah.
Speaking of juju, but yeah, I mean, it's probably I'd say the top 2 or top 3.
Yeah,
I mean, because you guys booed Santa Claus, and that's bad.
Well, first of all, that was the 70s. Okay, let's move on. Second of all, a lot of things that I think a lot of the time what happens, and this is part of what bothers me about the hate. So first of all, we love being hated, just so you know.
Okay.
The more we see that, you'll see Philadelphia, like all my friends share it all the time. Like, most hated fans again this year, boys, let's go. Like, everybody loves it. It makes us even more passionate. So way to go, way to make it worse for yourselves. But I think part of the issue, and I've gone to some games, what happens is people always say, you see it all the time on TV and in social circles, hey, Philadelphia fans, don't ever go there wearing an opposing team jersey or it's a nightmare. Well, they
Right.
purposely
I've heard
do it.
that.
They're like, but people do it anyway. They're like, oh, I'm just going to go to the game. They're not going to say nothing to me. Well, what makes you any different than the other 90,000 people that do it every year? Nothing. So when you walk in wearing a Romo jersey or an Irvin jersey or you're wearing an Aikman jersey, you're asking for a nightmare of a time.
That is probably the stupidest fucking thing you possibly
Not to
could do.
mention, leave the Rocky statue alone, man. Like, it just makes it worse. Because like the moment like Minnesota did that, and there was like a riot outside of the stadium. Like Minnesota fans were walking into the stadium for that NFC Championship game that year in 2017, and all the Eagles fans, you see them all piled up on the sides, like a walkway of Vikings fans, and they're just screaming. There was like a little kid that was like 6 years old, walked up to some dude and flipped him the bird and said, "F the Vikings, go Bird." I mean, it's just, it's a culture. Like football.
Yeah, I
Football
know.
for us, sports for us is this life. I mean, that's just how it is. Like,
Right.
I mean, and
Well,
it's like one of those. Yeah.
I think this whole state, like we're the same,
Yeah.
on this
Yeah.
side of the state. So the whole state in general. But I'm sure I mean, and I would be excited if I was in your shoes if my team was going
Yeah.
this Sunday.
Yeah.
So,
It's exciting times, man. No
yeah,
complaints.
yeah. So I want to say hello to Lisa, Tammy, first time watcher, Tam. I appreciate it. Lisa says that we bleed black and gold on this side of the state. Yes, we do, Lisa.
I
And
support y'all. It's all good. It's my
I
dad's
know
team.
you
so-
have. Craig says, "Hey, Bubba, I think there's actually a holding cell at the in Lincoln Financial Field. Is there a holding cell for people
There-
to get arrested? There was, maybe?
There was. So I'm not sure about now. I've never looked into it. I know at the Veterans Stadium, the one we had before the link, there was actually a court downstairs where there was actually
I've
a
heard
judge
that.
on standby, and there was a full jail kind of thing.
That's
So that's
crazy.
true. Veterans Stadium was
crazy.
pretty bad. That being said, I am not sure if the link has one. I'm sure they
Okay.
probably do. I'm sure they carried it over, but I've never been inside of it, so I can't vouch.
Oh,
I don't know
my
anybody
God.
who has been. So yeah.
Oh, so none of your boys actually got arrested in the
Yeah,
stadium?
man.
Oh,
I'll tell you
okay,
what,
that's good.
my friends are a decent group. I mean, we go out, we get rowdy, we talk some trash, but it's never
Okay.
led to hands flying or drinks being spilled or listen, beer's expensive at the game. I ain't throwing it on nobody. I don't care how pissed off I am. I mean, for
feel ya.
$11 for a Heineken, I'm not throwing it at you. I'm keeping it to myself. I'll just get mad
Yeah.
at you for something. I'll just throw something else at you. I don't know.
Probably a hot dog that cost you $22.50.
Yeah. I mean, I'll wait for my dollar dog night or something. Toss $1. I'll go buy another one. I mean, I don't know. Like, I ain't throwing my $11
wow.
beer.
No, I don't blame it, Rich. I don't blame it. Well, let's get into some little
Yeah,
bit of Steeler
let's go.
talk before we get into this preview of this Super Bowl 57. Now, this week in Steelers, I wasn't happy. I was not fucking happy when Steelers defensive linebacker coach Brian Flores went out to Minnesota and signed a deal as the new defensive coordinator of Minnesota. I think it's a big, huge loss for Pittsburgh. I think he had a lot to do and a lot to add to Mr. Austin's defense. I think they should have got rid of Austin and kept Flores, but I'm probably a minority about that. And I think that's going to be a huge loss for Pittsburgh. I do not know who's going to be filling his shoes. What do you think, Rich?
I like him. I mean, I know there's a lot of issues in Miami with him. I know there's a lot of like question marks as far as what happened, but dude knows defense, right? I mean, we've seen it. Like we've seen. I mean, that guy played, what was it, against Baltimore that one year with that cover zero defense where they just shut down the Ravens all game. I mean, he's a great defensive coach. I mean, I don't think he's much more of offense, which is fine. Like in your case, I would say though, if I was a Steelers fan, I would favor him as the defensive coordinator over what I have right now.
Yeah, I'm
100%.
very unhappy. And we had to keep Canada. So I'm just
That's what I don't
bitter.
get. You lost the wrong coordinator here, man. I
Yeah,
mean, like,
exactly.
You lost a guy that very well could be a very solid DC to keep an offensive coordinator that nobody likes. And I don't think you're a minority there, by the way. Like, even as an Eagles fan, when we played against you guys, obviously I'm happy that we won.
Right.
But even I was pissed off. I was messaging you throughout the game. Like, I'm mad for you right now. This is awful. Like, I came on the show, for anybody who might have tuned in at that time, we were on an episode right before that game. And I said I was looking for a good game, and it was awful, man. It was just
terrible. That was the worst.
Performance.
That was the worst beating of the year. That in Buffalo, we did not show up, and you shellacked us in that game, and it was bad. It was totally.
Well, it's like I said
bad.
to you, it just felt like coaching. Like, I mean, it just felt like it felt like coaching. Like, I'm not saying that the players don't deserve some blame. But I still think you have to put the right pieces in place for them guys to succeed, especially with young guys. A lot of Pittsburgh's pretty young. It's a lot of check down stuff, which made like 3rd and 10. He's dropping the ball off in a screen 3 yards out with no blocking in front. I mean, like nobody hitting their assignments on the blocking angles at all. It was just bad. I felt so terrible for that whole team, especially Pickett. But I give him a lot of credit for how he rebounded, though. Just to add that in there, I'm very proud of him for how he rebounded. It's hard.
Right. Well, your boy Ryan says hello. Got to ride the birds flock together. Good old Ryan's in there for you.
Yeah,
And
man.
Lisa says he was being stifled at the Steelers. He left because the wrong coaching staff was being kept. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right, Lisa.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and Beth from Florida, thanks for tuning in. I'm happy to have anyone replace anyone right now. See, that's the Steeler mentality. But if you say something bad about the Steelers coaching or head coach, you're ostracized, and you can't say anything bad about him. I say stuff bad about Tomlin, I'm ridiculed and made fun of, and that's just not the case. I believe, and I still state this facts, Rich. The time that we lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars and we had the triple Bs, 45-42, and then we lost to the special teams coach from Cleveland in the worst two losses in probably 15 years.
Yep.
It is what it is.
I mean, for me, when I look at the overall, and listen, there's no doubt that Mike Tomlin's going to go down as a great, right? I mean, there's no doubt. But at some point, you got to stop living on this horse of, oh, well, we've never been below 500. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't make the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're like, there was multiple times where he was 8-8. Sure, he wasn't below 500, but you're at 8-8, or you're at 9-7 at the time, or 9-8 now, missing the playoffs. What does it matter? Sure, you didn't go below 500, but what did you do? Did you make the postseason? No. Did you win any games in the postseason? No. Well, then who the hell cares?
Nope.
You can keep that to yourself. I'd rather go 7-9 and make the playoffs than go 9-8 and not. So, I don't get it, man. I don't get the hype on that. I think he is a great coach. Again, don't get me wrong. I just think there's some issues there with personnel and the way that the way that these guys get ready every week just doesn't seem like there's not a lot of close knit emotions that come to me when I watch that team play. It seems like there's a bunch of strangers on the same team. And I'm sure a lot of that is because we're forced to have these awful coordinators that we don't want.
Yeah, Matt Canada's not, and I'll be bitching probably the whole time on this podcast, and people will be bitching too. And it is they must. I don't know what they see. I just don't understand it. So
do you think it's arrogance? Maybe do you think maybe it's an arrogance of we do what we want because of our success overall? I mean, do you think it's an arrogance?
Well, I think, Rich, Tomlin will not let anybody be better than him, and he has to be the raw kind of guy. But he just he has poor time management, and it's just I'm tired of mediocrity anymore. Anyway, Rich, because the Pittsburgh Steelers, when they went to other stadiums, they were feared. We are not feared anymore, and it's terrible. Like when you guys go to stadiums now, you guys got a great team now. You guys are feared. Oh, Philly's coming. We better pack a lunch or we're gonna get our asses beat. Okay, I'm just saying that's the way back when the Steelers was like since I was a kid till the last couple years. The last 3-4 years of Ben's career, it was ridiculous. And we had a Hall of Fame quarterback, and it just his plays on the sandlot, getting us some points. We ain't scored 30 points, but one time this year. So it's just
for me, what the worst is whenever your rivals are out there saying, "Oh, we're playing the Steelers, let's mark it as a win." That's the worst. That's worst.
Terrible.
When you go up against guys like Baltimore and Cincinnati, and even against the Browns, who had a lot of confidence against Pittsburgh this year, there was a lot of Browns fans like, "Oh, we're not worried about Pittsburgh." That's bad. But when your rivals are like circling you as this is a potentially easy game to win, that's when you know you kind of lost it. Because I'll tell you right now, like. Even being an Eagles fan, again, I have a lot of relatives that love the Steelers. It's all a Pennsylvania thing. Everybody picks their side of the state they want to support. But I will say, I just don't get it, man. I mean, the Steelers and Ravens had one of the most fun rivalries in the game. I mean, one of the most fun. I mean, it was right there with the Chicagos and Packers. And for me as a fan, I mean, Eagles and Cowboys for me.
Right.
There's always some really good rivalries out there that it feels like that one died a little bit. For now, at least. I mean, it's going to heat up eventually. I know it's going to come back.
Well, it's probably going to heat up because Kenny Pickett in the last minute, man, did some stuff in the last two games against the Raiders and the Ravens that pissed a lot of people off. And Kenny in that last 2 minutes, man, won 2 games. So he's something. But I got a lot of people chiming in, and I appreciate it, guys. Ryan said it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. 2 brothers playing against each other and a former coach playing against his former team. And we were going to let's talk about it right now. You got the questions? Let's talk about it. How do you feel about that?
I mean, the brother thing's cool, right? I mean, we talked about a couple different angles pre-show. I think it's a cool thing, but I mean, to me, I think it's a moment where they're going to put each other off to the side. I know that Jason Kelsey came out and made a tweet saying that I don't have a brother this week or something like that. He made some joke about it.
And he was like, to each other.
He's like, well, this is the first time I haven't been a Chiefs fan since my brother got drafted. Like, there's like all kinds of jokes. They do a podcast together and all that stuff. So it's all fun. The mom has a jersey right now split down the middle. She has Kelsey on, Travis on one side and Jason on the other. And It's cool though, because we had the hard bowl, which nobody likes either one of them anyway. But it's cool. It's cool to see that you got some brothers facing off in this game. You got Reed against his old team with the Eagles, which all he did was choke here as well. So at least he did something with Kansas City. But I mean, it's cool. It's cool, man. And Ryan's trying to say that we're not special, and that's fine, and that's perfectly fine. You can say that, but last time I checked, the Ravens can't even pay their quarterback right now. So how about you focus on signing
Yeah,
Lamar?
they're about $100 million difference. Yeah.
Yeah, have fun paying him $325 million guaranteed. Wish you the best of luck. Good luck signing anybody else to that roster moving forward.
And to be honest with you, I don't sweat Lamar Jackson one bit because he always plays shitty against the Steelers. So I enjoy when we play him because he throws a pick or he gets knocked the fuck out. So I'm okay with that.
If I'm a Steelers fan, I want them to pay him $325 million guaranteed. Give it to you. Can't sign nobody else now. Who are you going to sign now? I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes when he got that big deal. They had to let go of Tyreek Hill. They had to let go of this guy and that guy because when you happened with Aaron Rodgers, they gave up Devontae Smith to sign Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers was like, "Holy shit, I need him. What am I doing? My guys can't catch balls to save their lives." There's a lot of drop balls this year in Green Bay. So go ahead, sign Lamar to a $300 million deal. Give it to him guaranteed. So if you get rid of him, that cap hit is going to be beautiful.
I'll take it. I'll take it every day till Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Ryan says y'all better pray that Hurts doesn't win because the Super Bowl because y'all will be next on the hook. Yeah, you're right. We will have to pay him. We will, but we'll pay him because the Eagles are smart enough to where we draft players well. So we'll see.
Yeah, you guys have done that on both sides of the ball. Yeah,
we've had some bad ones, but we've had some bad ones. We've stolen a couple. Like Jordan Mailata was a 7th round pick out of Australia who only played rugby, never even played football before. So that was a pretty cool one. I mean, Lane Johnson was a 1st round pick. He was a high end pick out of Oklahoma. But we built our whole team's drafted for the most part. I mean,
we took your assistant general manager, and I'm okay with that. So hopefully we have that blueprint in this draft coming up. He does the same thing that he did for you guys. I'm okay with that. So. Hey, Kelly, Jeff Booth, thanks for tuning in. Beth says she's rooting for the Greenbirds, so she's cheering you on there, Mr. Smoke. Thank you, Lisa, for hitting the button. Benjamin says the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl this weekend, 35-28.
I ain't saying nothing. I told you this before the show. I don't make scoring predictions. I stay away. I don't want to have
or 42-35. Well, Benjamin always predicts Steelers scores. God bless him, Benjamin. He's doing it all season. He always thinks we got a great offense and we're lighting them up. But these offenses are lighting them up. So he's going all broke. So, Benjamin, thank you for giving that high pick there. So the over is definitely 50 if he takes that. So
yeah, the over-under right now is 50 and a half points. So if you think it's going to be over 50 and a half, make sure you put those bets in before that changes. So
yeah,
I hope it doesn't go that high. I hope not. And that becomes a shootout. I don't want a shootout. I want to listen. I'd rather dominate first of all, but if it's going to be close, keep it low and close, not touchdowns again. It gets demoralizing after a while.
Yeah.
To watch somebody pound it in on you, enough to score 35 points. So
yeah, your defense, especially your defense, is that good, and you get 35 scored on you. It's ridiculous.
I think there's definitely going to be some field goals in this game. I think field goals might be the big difference. I think that nobody's talking about is field goal. I think that might be a big difference maker. In this
I didn't even put it on the sheet. I didn't even put the special teams. Special teams could be key.
I think field goals. I think field goals and field position in this game are going to be huge. That being said, I could be wrong, but I just see a lot of good drives on both sides. I just think that Eagles defense might be a little bit better, but we'll get into that a little bit.
Yeah. And Ryan says just not the wide receivers in the first round, Rich.
That's very true. That is, you know what? I cried a little bit when we passed on Justin Jefferson for Jalen Reagor. I was a big TCU fan back when LaDainian Tomlinson went there back in the day. If anybody didn't know that, now you do. I was a big LT fan. But so I watched a lot of Jalen Reagor highlights, and I'm like, this guy's awful. But, I'll never forget being on the phone with 6 of my friends. We're all on a conference call. We're watching the draft together. We're like, all right, we got to make sure JJ doesn't go. Don't go. So they didn't pick him. So JJ's on the board. We're like, oh, my God, the Eagles just got Justin Jefferson. This is going to be amazing. Next thing you know, it's with the 10th pick, whatever pick it was, the Eagles take Jalen Reagor. We're like, what just happened? Like, what did we just do? Probably the biggest draft baffle of Howie Roseman's career. And I'm sure it's probably where a lot of the fire came from to make better moves, is because you're going to make bad ones. To be a great GM, you got to make a couple bad moves.
Well, you got to break a couple eggs to make an omelet.
High risk, you got to go high risk, high reward. You got to think that way in the NFL. You can't be like some of these teams where you take the guaranteed route. Well, that's why they're not in the Super Bowl. So
that's why we're not in the playoffs. But anyway,
Yeah.
Benjamin says Hurt is going to be the MVP. Benjamin says
Ooh.
this. So, and
Super
then,
Bowl MVP or regular season? I think he might be a Super Bowl one. I don't think about regular season, but we'll see.
well, I don't know. And Ryan says Philadelphia is definitely deep when it comes to the front end of the defense. They just got to keep Chris Jones quiet on the other side.
Well, they better line Chris Jones up away from Lane Johnson. That's all I know, because that boy has not allowed a sack since 2018.
Woo.
Him and Jason Kelsey combined have played over 3,200 and some odd snaps without even a quarterback hit. So
See, that's what I mean, people. He knows his Philadelphia stats because I have no effing clue because it's all about
they show it on TV every week. The numbers just higher. That's all.
Well, I had a couple concussions. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
that's a good. Yeah, I would never know that. And well, Bubba, if it comes down to field goals, I'm glad we don't have the kicker from Dallas.
Woo! Or how about Cody Parkey from Chicago that couple years ago with the double doink for Philadelphia? That was great.
Yeah. JC Dave, thanks for tuning in from the Extra Point Podcast. Thank you very much, JC.
Yeah, what's up, man?
How you doing? So let's get to a little bit of Steeler talk now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, the free agency rumors and on this side of the state now, and you actually know this guy because you have seen him playing with the Commanders. Defensive tackle Darian Payne. He hits the open market, and some Steeler insiders says the Steelers should look into him and look into signing him. He could bolster the Steelers' defense. He's 25 years old. He had the best season in 2022, 64 tackles, 11 and a half sacks, 1 fumble recovery in that 2022. But he's also projected, which the Steelers are not going to pay this, 5 years, $97.46 million contract. There is no way Pittsburgh signing that. I mean, it's great. It's great to be putting this out there in podcast world. But there is no way that Art Rooney is going to sign him, and we do defensive line, but not for that fucking amount of money. There's no way, no way.
I mean, plus you still got to sign. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say you still got to re-sign Ogunjobi if you guys decide to go that route. I know they love him for whatever reason. I know there's been a lot of talk about Pittsburgh keeping him, which I mean that's a pretty big hit there. And how about Devin Bush? Are you guys going to keep him around?
Gone.
I mean, he had 19 million guaranteed last year, so it's like, oof, do you keep him or do you finally let him go?
No, let him go. Hopefully they can sign Spillane to give a little bit. We need some depth in our linebackers. We don't have that. They need to sign Cam Sutton. We need to sign some people, but we don't have depth. We don't have depth behind TJ when he was hurt, as we saw. And it's just, we can't afford him. So it's the great on the rumor mill of free agency and the Steelers stuff. But I think it's just it's going to be a wet dream. There's no way that Pittsburgh's going to sign him for that big money. He's 25 years old. He's going to go somewhere and he's going to make a force unless the Redskins give him, or I'm sorry, the Commanders give him the world of the dreams there. But
I like Payne a lot. I mean, like, people don't realize that they're one of the better front fours in the NFL as well. I mean, Washington definitely, when Chase Young is healthy, they have a great defensive. I mean, they have a great defensive side of the ball in general. They're one of the good defensive teams that you don't really see that because they lose a lot of games because the offense is terrible. That's what happens when you have Tyler Heineke as your starting quarterback for way too long.
Yeah, Ryan says, I will say if it comes down to coaching, I'm going to have to say, talking Super Bowl, shade a little bit towards Andy Reid, but I think Philly will win in a close game. Thank you, Chris Elliott, for tuning in. And Benjamin says the Steelers are going to draft No, Benjamin, I don't know what kind of smoke you're smoking, brother. We are not going to draft 2 quarterbacks. I know Rudolph is leaving and Mitch is over the cap space, but they still want to keep Mitch as a backup if they can get a deal for him. I don't know. I think he wants out anyway, Benjamin, because of what happened.
Doesn't fit the system.
And what he thought was going to happen, and he didn't think they were going to draft Kenny Pickett. And they think you go get some speaking of getting a quarterback, Benjamin, I put Jacob Brissett has been in talks if he goes and leaves Cleveland, he might want to come. Pittsburgh might sign him because he played under Matt Canada, God bless him, down in North Carolina State, and he also was with the Steelers running back coach Eddie Faulkner and receiver coach Frischman Jackson were also on that coaching squad. So they were going to try to maybe since they all play together, they could get him at a good rate. I don't know. We'll see, but that's only I don't know. I don't know.
I don't like that move.
I don't know. I don't know. There's other quarterbacks out there. And I don't want anybody.
Not great.
No, he's not. No.
I mean, he's hardly serviceable sometimes. So
Cooper made him good in Cleveland last year. That's against us. Shane Stodmiller, special field correspondent. Thanks for tuning in, brother. And let's get to this last little Steeler tidbit here. There's been rumors from Pittsburgh's Post-Gazette, Jerry Dulac, who's the Pittsburgh sports beat writer, that in a recent chat, he feels, this is crazy, this is fucking crazy, that John Gruden would be a good fit as an offensive advisor for the Pittsburgh Steelers, since Tomlin and Gruden coached 4 years. They won a Super Bowl with Tampa, and I think I think he's high on cocaine.
John Gruden's a whole separate issue. It's a shame because I used to like him as a coach. I did. I don't know, man. I don't think he has it in him anymore. I think he should have just stayed announcing and just left it at that.
Right.
If I'm being fully honest, I thought that he should have just kept it as it was. He was a great broadcaster. He knew what he was talking about. He knew what kind of questions to ask, what to talk about. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't go Gruden. I wouldn't.
No.
You have enough. You have enough issues in there already. Imagine that. Who do we rely on for offense this year? Oh, we're gonna have Gruden in Canada sit down and come up with something. Oh God.
Yeah, and Canada and Chucky in the same office, I'll lose my mind. I didn't like Gruden anyway.
Awful.
I definitely don't like Matt Canada, and I'm gonna have to deal with him all year. So, and yes, he definitely could f up a wet dream. He just needs to be sent out to pasture, and don't. Yeah. So let's get to now. Before we get to the Super Bowl, there's 2 former Steelers on either side could win a ring. One is the receiver. I like Juju. I always like Juju playing for Kansas City, and the Eagles defensive lineman Javon Hargrave, which I didn't want him to leave the Steelers in the first place. One of those ex-Steelers are going to get a ring, and I don't know who it's going to be.
It's going to be Javon.
I don't know.
It's going to be Javon Hargrave.
Well, yeah, you're going to say Javon that,
Hargrave. Yeah.
And
yeah,
now is he going to be? Is he a free agent after this season?
Is Javon? I haven't honestly. I've been trying not to look. Just because I mean I've been asked a lot about how I feel about the roster next year. We're going to lose a lot of guys. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, we brought a lot of people in on 1-year deals. Like James Bradbury got a 1-year deal. Hargrave, I think he is at the end of his deal. He has 1 more year left. This was his last year. I can't remember which one. Fletcher Cox's last year, Linval Joseph and Dominican Sue, those guys were on the last year. Reddick needs to be
then you would sign Hargrave to a big contract then and let him stay in Philly because he's going to get big money. Well, I don't know.
The problem is you still got a lot of other guys on that same side of the ball that got to get paid. There's probably like 11 guys that are like hoping to get paid this year on the same side of the ball. So I think the defense is going to look a lot different next year. I think we have to win this one because it's going to take a little bit to get back to where we're at now because we're going to be losing a lot of pieces come this offseason. So
we'll see Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh didn't have a Stephon Tuitt, they probably would have signed Hargrave and he probably would have stayed a Steeler. That was the intricate piece of that puzzle. And then he rolled out to Philly and he
made the wrong call.
Yeah. We gambled. We rolled snake eyes. And Ryan says that's probably why they drafted Davis Cox replacement. And
he's trying to say that's why they drafted Jordan Davis to replace Cox. It's 100% true.
I wanted Jordan Davis, man. I wanted him bad. I broke my closet back here because the draft.
We didn't do much with him, so I mean we haven't used him. He works a lot in the run game. He's not much of a pass rushing kind of guy, which is what the defense is about this year. So I think he'll be good longevity. I mean, look at Brandon Graham. We drafted him back in like 2006. Nobody realizes that. It took him a long time, or 2008. It took him a long time to actually find a niche on the team. So we'll see. He's still young. It's only his first year. Nakobe Dean, I like him too, the linebacker that we drafted, and we barely used him last year as well. So should be interesting. Should be a fun time.
Well, every off season for any team is going to be interesting, especially if you hoist the Lombardi Trophy. It will definitely be an off.
And we still have the 10th pick in the draft, so it's not very often you win the Super Bowl and have a top 10 draft pick. So there's that.
No, we can't even get to the playoffs, so we're number 17. I love how that works. That's great.
We made the Super Bowl. We got a better pick, and we actually got 2 of them. So we got 2 first-round picks this year. So
we don't. That sucks.
This is why I said Howie Roseman is a legend, man. Like this guy does things that you're not supposed to be able to do. You're just not supposed to be. He had to come in after Chip Kelly made a mess, so he was the GM, and then Chip Kelly took over, ruined the whole team. He cut Deshaun Jackson, traded McCoy for Kiko Alonso. He let everybody go, dropped Vic. And then, imagine being Howie Roseman walking back in like, what the hell do I do to fix this? Like, what do I do? And within 3 years of Chip Kelly being gone, we win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's incredible. That guy is just absolutely incredible.
Well, speaking of the Super Bowl, now we've got a little bit of talk. Now it's Super Bowl 57. Wow. 57 Super Bowls.
Wow.
Woo! That's a long. That's
Wow.
yeah. Number one AFC, number one AFC seed, the Kansas City Chiefs at 16-3, going against your team, the number one NFC seed, the Philadelphia Eagles, also 16-3. This is going to be a good Super Bowl. I mean, I just want a good game, and I think we will see a good game.
I don't want a good game. I want a blowout. I want one. I just want to end it. I mean,
and the
like,
second quarter.
We've been a little spoiled. I mean, against the Giants, we only gave up 7. Against the Niners, we only give up 7. I mean, let's just keep it going. Let's just give up 7, call it a week. I mean, I'm cool with that.
Any Kansas City Chiefs out there? Let me hear you. I don't know anybody taking Kansas City. Drop it in the comments here. Now, it's going to be 6:30 p.m. on Fox, and it's going to be at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona.
Yeah, man. I'm. Oh, man. Oh, I appreciate that, Shane. I appreciate that, man. I like that. I don't know if that's an insult or not.
I don't know.
All right. That's all right.
Who's the first?
It
definitely ain't me. Rich knows his shit. I don't know as much as Rich. But I know it ain't me, Shane. It ain't me.
Oh man, I'm very humble when it comes to my. I'm very yeah. I don't brag much. So,
but you know your stuff, and you also know about other NFL teams.
Well,
you just know the NFL. And
you gotta love the sport.
That makes you a scholar.
Yeah.
You're a Rhodes Scholar.
You gotta love the sport. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, I love my Eagles, and if the Eagles weren't in the Super Bowl right now, I'd be hyping up somebody else's team. I mean, it's just how I am. I mean, I love the game. I love the competition. I love the camaraderie. I mean, football to me is not just a game; it's a lifestyle. And I mean, I've always loved football. I played it for a long time. Tore my MCLs when I was young, and I couldn't get back out there. So I had to find a different way to love it. So I love it from afar. I can't run much anymore, so.
Oh, I can't either. You should see me run. It's not a good
I'll probably hit like a 13.75 or something at this rate in my life. I mean, being an asthmatic and torn MCLs, I ain't making it. I might not even make it 40 yards. You might as well call it a 20-yard dash. That might be the most I can give you.
Well, I'm an ex pro wrestler, so I'm a big heavy set Don Corleone guy. So my 20.7 blazing speed ain't gonna get anything unless I'm grabbing a couple wings in my hand. But Beth says, I will support our state, but I don't think the Eagles will do the same, she says, LOL.
Oh, come on, man.
Beth is a diehard Steeler fan in the lovely Sunshine State. But anyway, as we said before, now this is the first time that Kansas City and Philadelphia has faced each other. Kansas City is 2-2 in the Super Bowl. Your Eagles is 1-2 in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So if they win, they could, be
even out
500. Yeah.
Well, and listen, let's just put this out there real fast. Andy Reid choked on one of those with McNabb. So I'm hoping to get even by whooping Andy's ass tonight. So, I mean, on Sunday night. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for Andy.
That's when McNabb was throwing. Was that when he was
throwing up at half? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you ever heard this story, but there's actually a lot. It's never been confirmed by McNabb, and it probably never will be. But a lot of his old teammates, like Westbrook and them guys, came out and said later on, because that Super Bowl was in Jacksonville, Florida. And he had a lot of friends down that area. Well, apparently the night before he went out drinking. If you remember, after he retired, he had multiple DUIs. He got fired from ESPN for the sexual harassment. So remember Ronnie Barber and all them guys?
Yeah.
He's always had a drinking problem. He would go to ESPN and get drunk and then hit on the women. That's why he got fired. So he always had a drinking problem. So what happened was he ended up getting drunk the night before, went out clubbing until like 2-3 a.m.
See, that's total bullshit, man. That's total.
Yeah, and then you get up and for the Super Bowl. If you watch with the players' interviews, they get up early in the morning. They get their routines going. They're already working out by 11. So you can only imagine where his headspace was in that game. So you let your team down. That's what you did.
Well, that's one of those Super Bowl horror stories.
Yeah.
Oh man,
but you got to put part of that on Andy Reid. You're still the head coach. You got to do something about that beforehand. You have to know where your franchise quarterback is before Super Bowl. You have to know where he's at. There's no way he got out of there without you knowing. If he did, that makes me question some things about you as a person. So, just my opinion.
Well, I have a buddy of mine that's actually at the Super Bowl right now. Cowboy Scotty Beck does security. He's been doing it for like past 5 or 6 years, and it's a lockdown. They can't be going out and gallivanting around and stuff. So they probably implemented some security devices so they don't go down. And realistically, you're smart to stay in and not go out. So Donovan didn't do that. See, I have a little story real quick here. Bobby Brister did that the night before. He was up here at a local bar getting drunk, and I'm like, "Hey, Bobby, you got a game tomorrow. What the fuck are you doing?" Like I was pissed. And Bobby Brister was not a small man.
Yeah, he's big dude.
Yeah. So I mean, and he wasn't like he was putting them down real quick. And I mean, it was you should go and you got to play a game like that. You should go home and get some sleep and get ready. Tracy, thanks for tuning in to the Triple B Black and Gold Dynasty. So we got the brother versus brother. This is
Yep.
going to be huge. This is a side story that they've been talking about all week. So it's going to be never. This never happened before, correct?
Not for players. No, coaches, we had the horrible, but that's
Right.
about it. We've never had players. So you would think about you would imagine that you would have by now. But I guess, when it comes down to it, you think back. I mean, there was never a Peyton and Eli Super Bowl. There was no. I for some reason I thought Tiki and Rondé did, but I was like, oh wait, no, they never played in the Super Bowl. So yeah, I mean, there was Tiki and Rondé that were great, but I guess they played the same conference. So whatever. Either way, there's been a lot of brother combos. So it's kind of shocking that this is the first one. You would have thought that by now it would have happened, but this is the very first one ever, and um, I'm not buying. I mean, I don't worry about that too much. I'm sure they're gonna make a big deal about that. They're probably gonna show the Kelsey brothers a million times. They're probably
Right.
gonna show mom and dad a billion times. But I'm just excited for both of them to have that opportunity. I mean, I'm sure it's a really cool moment. They might not talk for a few months after it's over, but
Probably not.
one of them will get over it eventually.
Now, do
So
you think that Jason will retire, win, lose,
yes,
or draw?
yes.
Okay,
I,
so this could
I
be his swan song.
He's earned it. He's earned it. I mean, I think he's
Okay,
earned it. I mean, he's been one of the best. He's been rated one of the best centers every year for the last like 8 years now. Dude's been through injuries and been through really bad Eagles teams. I mean, the guy earned his right to walk, man. I mean, I hope he doesn't, but I do like his replacement, Cam Jurgens. So, I mean, if Kelsey's ready to go, Kelsey's ready to go. I mean, it is what it is. But I hope not, but he will. I mean, he earned it. Take your
okay.
sunset move. If we win a special, you got to take your sunset move.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we
Need
did
to
with
walk.
Bettis. That was great. That was a great
Yep.
story. So, I mean, when players, and Elway did the same thing. So players get that opportunity,
I
to
just don't
do
want him to
that.
stay too long. I don't want him to overdo it. I don't want him to stay too long to where he becomes less effective and then he walks away as, please get rid of this bum. We've seen it. Look at Emmitt Smith going to Arizona back in the day, and
Yeah,
there's been a million guys, like Danian Tomlinson going to the Jets, and Flacco bumping around. It's just take the walk when you're ready. Take it when you can. Take the bow after a win and just let it be what it is. And look at Tom Brady; he's walking out on a really bad note. So after
yeah.
all those
I
years of
don't think
dominance, you choose now to walk away.
that's not a good taste in his mouth. I'm sure he did not want to end it like that. That's not a good taste in his mouth.
Yep.
But like we said before, I don't know. He's still even
I
now
don't
is better
trust him.
than I don't either. I don't never liked him. So I think he'll probably come back. And I just think that he's pissed off because they had a poor showing against Dallas. Everybody was hurt, and he wanted to get out of Tampa, and he's got something ulterior motive. He lost his family, so I think something's going to happen. It's some kind of dark Sith Lord, as he is. You know what I mean? And drinking cucumber juice, and he'll be back. But that's beside any point. But
It
anyway,
better be. Yep.
yeah, the Eagles are favored a point and a half. They're favorites, and the over is 50.5. I don't know. I try to bet, but I'm not very good. I know I might put some bets into FanDuel. I'm not that good because this is not a sports gambling show.
Yep.
I'm not that good. I can't win anything.
We're
I
not going
wish
to
I
give you our
could.
picks and tricks
Yeah,
for picking
yeah,
spreads. So
yeah. So yeah. My betting Rich is waking up in the morning and fucking going to work. That's my
yeah,
that's my
I'm
thing.
at my job right now. I was telling you before the show. I'm actually in my office at work. I'm an insurance salesperson. I'm using my monitor, which is why I have the screen blanked out. So this way you guys
It's
don't have to look at my boring office over here.
it's high tech. It's high tech. But let's
Yeah,
get to some
yeah,
Kansas City. Kansas
yeah.
City is 29.2 points per game. The Eagles are 28.4. Very, very close in the scoring department.
Yep.
Very close. And we might see more of that or less than that come Sunday. I don't know. Total yards per game, the Kansas City Chiefs, 413.6, 392 for the Eagles. So I mean that's still this is
Close.
as close as it's gonna. I mean, and opponents' points per game, 21.7 for Kansas City, 20.5 for your Philadelphia Eagles. This game is like a slice of butter on a butter knife. That's how close this game will
Yeah.
be Sunday at 6:30. It is as close as the two of and you know what? It's two of the best teams in both conferences
It's
that are playing.
appropriate. It's
Yeah.
appropriate. The 2-1 seeds, that's you don't always want to see that. It's nice to see the upsets, but really, this is what everybody wants to see. You want to see the two Goliath. I mean, I'm not saying that we definitely were the dominant, whatever. We kind of were, both sides. But that's what you want to see. You want to see the juggernauts of the conferences face off. It sucks when you see the upsets in the championship game, and the next thing you know,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
boring. Then you get the boring Super Bowls, and it's like we don't want to watch this crap. It's like
No,
give us
no.
something
I
better
think
than
this is
this.
going to
So
be one of the most exciting ones in a while. Now the coaching, because both coaches hands
Mhm.
down. Kansas
Mhm.
City, Andy Reid's fourth trip, 74 wins in 3 trips to the Super Bowl since Patrick Mahomes took over the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's been a playoff coach with you guys in Philly, and now with Kansas City. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
But
100%.
the Eagles coach Nick Sirianni, he's reached the playoffs both of his first 2 seasons, and he coached Eagles to a 3rd Super Bowl. So that's your man. So now do you like? Does he bring the fire that the Eagles need?
Love him.
Okay.
Love him. I mean, if you ask me, he's my favorite coach in our franchise history so far. It's only been 2 years. I liked Andy.
Wow. Okay.
I liked Andy, but Andy
What?
was like that stoic guy that he didn't feel like Philly. So you've seen how Philly fans are. You have an expectation of what a Philly fan does, right? And if you watch Sirianni, it's funny. A lot of the players are so mad. You saw him on the sideline after the Giants game. He was like nodding his head at the camera, and you see him go over to like rival fans, and he stands up on the benches and he's putting his arms up, like, "What do you got?" Like yelling at them.
Well,
Like
that's good too.
he's
You got to
he's
like
a
that.
he's a gritty Italian shit talking guy that
Well, there you go.
Philadelphia loves. I mean, he is literally like that's the thing about Philadelphia. If you encompass Philadelphia, you'll be loved by Philadelphia. But you can't come here and be some soft spoken, oh well, you know what kind of guy. It's not going to work. We're going to run you out. We're going to run you out every time. And Reed was great. Reed was great. I mean, he was my entire life almost. As a kid,
Right.
all the success I went through. He was almost like the Bill Belichick of the Eagles kind of thing, where he was with us for so long, so many great years, great memories, but never finished the job. He just never finished the job.
No.
Whether that's his fault or the players, who knows? But doesn't matter. But I love Andy Reid. I do. But Nick Sirianni, to me, is what a Philadelphian looks like, and it's just so appropriate that he's the head coach. I mean, the players love him. They bought into him. They bought the whole system. Philadelphia fans love him. They bought into him. So I think he's a really good dude. I think he's a good dude. I think he's hilarious. I think he's great. He's an average Joe. He doesn't come off as a regular coach. He's not going to be.
Let me ask you a question. How's his press conferences?
Well, his first ever one had people thinking he was going to be a failure. He had a terrible. He was like stuttering on himself. His wording didn't make a lot of sense, and the papers, the Philadelphia Inquirer, kept reading for the first week, like, "Oh my God, what a terrible! We have a bum in the office," or whatever it was. They made like, all these different headlines about how terrible he was going to be, based on that first press conference. It goes to show you, man, first impressions are everything, but not always everlasting, right? They can change real quick.
So you watch him every week, and he entails
now he's great. Now he's great.
With of your team. Where nothing against Tomlin, but his Tomlinisms fucking kill me.
He's about Tom. Tom's about Tom. That's how I've always felt. Like I watch all these coaches give press conferences. I've been watching, there's been some really good ones and some really bad ones. I think Belichick is the worst at giving an interview. I mean, the guy's a nightmare to watch. I mean, he says like 3 words and he gives you a dirty look the whole time. But I mean, Tomlin's great, and I think the problem is Tomlin thinks he's too great. I think Sirianni's fun because he still has a lot to prove. There's no, we're not done yet. And like he knows that everybody's been against him, and he knows that he's following Doug Peterson, who followed. Well, not Chip Kelly. We're going to skip that for a minute, but then he followed Andy Reid. Like, there's been a lot of success in Philadelphia, so he had big shoes to fill, and he's not done yet. And I love that about him.
Okay. Well, by 10:30, we'll know if he's in the top. And I know I'm putting some pressure on.
My heart's going to be like this.
Yeah. Beth says Philadelphia has a legit team. Kansas City has some legit players.
Oh, I like the difference there. I see the difference that she's pointing out. I like that. I do like that.
And I know. Yeah, well, that's good. And Dave Peterman, thanks for tuning into the Triple B Black and Gold Dynasty show. So let's get to these quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes on one leg took him and beat the AFC in the AFC Championship with Cincinnati. It was a gutsy performance.
You got a quotation it though. Patrick Mahomes on one leg. Yeah, sure he was. Yeah.
But hey, I mean, that last run, that was that linebacker hit him out of bounds.
Looked awfully healthy making that run. I'm just saying, for a guy with one leg. I mean, he ran pretty full speed for me. I don't know. You roll up on my ankle. If my ankle's that bad where I'm limited in practice, I don't think I'm running a full speed sprint. But what do I know about football, right?
Well, you know a lot about football. But Patrick Mahomes has to prove something in this game. He has to prove that he could be the quarterback of the future since Brady's retired. He cannot go 1-2 being Patrick Mahomes doing all this stuff, being MVP of the NFL. He cannot do this. This is going to be a big game for him. And can he do it? And
I don't think it's up to him.
I think it's going to be Patrick Mahomes against your defensive line. When we get talking about your defensive line, we did before, that is your strong point. And if they corral him, I mean, I'm not making a pick right now, but that is the matchup right there. Patrick Mahomes to me against your defensive line.
But it's the same thing the other way around, right? The Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in football. They have a couple pass rushers that are great. Like Chris Jones is good. They got some guys over there. But I think it's the same thing vice versa. I think Kansas City is going to have their hands full with the defensive line for us. I think the same thing vice versa as well. Their defensive line is going to have a hell of a time trying to get after Jalen. Not to mention, 2 rookie corners against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Plus, you got Dallas Goedert over the middle. And, I mean, it's one of the most deadly RPOs that you've ever seen because the problem is, I was watching a video. I did watch one video a little bit ago right before I got on the show to get myself kind of amped up for the show. And they were talking about it. What's going to happen is Kansas City's going to have to play a lot of zone, because they don't have those dominant corners that's going to shut anybody down. What that usually does, leaves a lot of pockets for the run game. And what happens with a run game, have a good offensive line, which we have. So, and listen,
on both
you've
sides
seen
of the
it.
ball you do.
And if you look at some of the Eagles games, like Jalen Hurts got an awful passing performance last week, still dominate with 126 passing yards. We still go out there and score 31 points. I mean, he doesn't even need to be able to throw the ball well. So 4 rushing touchdowns. We have the most rushing touchdowns in NFL history this year. We broke the record from the Yellow Jackets from 1938 or something like that. Most rushing touchdowns ever in a season by a football team was us this year.
Well, he's the second full season as a starter, 14-1, 36 touchdowns.
And I doubted him.
We could have drafted him. We could have fucking drafted him.
Everybody could have used a second-round pick.
Well, we drafted fucking Chase Claypool, that fucking bum.
I won't lie to you. I was disappointed in that pick. I wasn't happy with the pick because at the time Carson Wentz was still playing well. It wasn't like he was bad.
Right. You don't know, but I wouldn't have known.
I doubted Jalen Hurts for a while. I didn't. But then again, to be fair,
not now. You don't doubt him now, do you?
No. So I was on the extra point right before the season started, end of preseason. I said, I'm buying into it a little bit. I think he has some talent. If he can get better with the awareness and make some better reads, I think he'll be there. But I told them on the show that day, I said, listen, this season is make or break on Jalen Hurts. If he plays great, we have a dominant team. If he plays awful, we ain't making the playoffs. And guess what?
He's got to the Super Bowl.
And the guy goes off and has not just a good season, but a great season.
Yeah.
I mean, just if you look at the record, so yes, we're 16-3, but he went 14-1 as a starter.
If he wouldn't have hurt his shoulder against Dallas, he would have beat Dallas.
Well, we were 14-1 going into that game. And it's unfortunate that he couldn't play that with the Saints, and Gardner Minshew just didn't play well. He played well against the Cowboys, but a couple picks there cost the game. I don't think Jalen throws those the same way that Gardner did. And then, Jalen comes, he misses the Saints game, and Minshew looked absolutely awful through an obvious pick 6 and bad play. So really, Jalen Hurts is 14-1 this season. Including playoffs, he's 16-1. So
that's pretty.
It's not like he lost 3 games. The team lost 3 games, but Jalen Hurts did not lose 3 games. He lost a game, which a couple of weird calls in there. Face mask from Goddard was a fumble. There was 4 turnovers against the Redskins. And we still lost by 4. So, again, shit happens. A loss is a loss, but. I'm hyped. I'm excited. I like Jalen.
I know you are. And Bess says that's what I'm saying. An entire team versus a few players.
Because Kansas City has some guys.
Yeah. BK, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, because the weapons now, and you mentioned your weapons of A.J. Brown, 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, and Devontae Smith over 1,200 yards receiving. That's some component weapons with Hurts and that receiving core that Kansas City might not be able to. They might not be able to stop. I don't know.
Yeah, Miles Sanders went over 1,200 rushing yards with, I think, double-digit touchdowns as well this year. After having 0 last year, by the way. Miles Sanders finished last year with 0 touchdown carries.
Penn State
this
guy,
year,
I like Miles.
This year, he dominated. He came back. He told everybody, I'm going to come back. I don't know what's going on this year, but I'm going to come back next year and be 10 times better. And he had 10 times the amount of touchdowns. So, running the ball is there. Jalen on 4th downs especially is going to be, 4th and 1s. We're at a 93.6%. Success rate on quarterback sneaks at 4th and 1, which is the highest ever for a play call like that. It's just an unstoppable team, man. I mean, I'm not saying we can't lose.
No, you guys
can't lose, but
you guys rushed in 2 playoff games over 416 yards of rushing
against. And listen, and granted, there was injuries with San Fran, but the defense was healthy. The offense was hurt the most, and everybody said Philadelphia's going to go to San Fran. They're going to lose because they can't run the ball against San Francisco with Fred Warner and with Bosa and how great that defense is with Greenlaw and all them guys. They said Philadelphia will not be able to run the ball against San Francisco. What happened? We didn't just run the ball. we just walked the ball through. We didn't have to even worry about running. We just jogged. I mean, it was a jog through. Purdy or no Purdy, that game was not Purdy for you guys. It was pretty damn ugly, if you ask me. So
It was.
it was the great, the bad, and the ugly, and we were the great one, and they were both bad and ugly. So for us, it was a great game. But I'm hyped. I think we're good. I think we have
the
great
weapons,
players.
yeah,
But
you
I agree
guys
with
got
her.
great. Yeah,
Yep.
but also too the weapons for Kansas City. I don't know you're gonna be able to cover Travis Kelce, but Kelce is a freak of nature.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
you
It's gonna be
think you
hard.
have him. Yes, you think you have him, but he just catches balls
So
and he just scores touchdowns.
what I'm going to say though here, and this is one thing I was actually like thinking to myself about the other day, and we talked about this a little bit as well, is Brock Purdy's injury came off of the Niners having a backup tight end blocking Hassan Reddick off that edge. You know, you got Brandon Graham right there, you got Reddick coming around, you got then you got Fletcher Cox right there, you got Hargrove right there. No matter which way you block, you're in trouble. But a backup tight end had a block. So my question is though, do they allow him a free release knowing that Hassan Reddick is coming every time? I mean, do you allow Kelce to not block? Because Kelsey's a great blocker, by the way, a great blocker. So my question is,
he'll have to chip him.
so that's what I'm saying. But by having to chip him, it still gives the other side of that defensive line some time to get some pressure on Mahomes. So is there enough? So I'm not saying he's not going to get catches. He's definitely going to make a couple plays in this game. There's no doubt about it. Kelsey's always going to find a way to get open and make plays. But my question is, how much of an impact is he going to have to make in the blocking game to where he might be eliminated from some passing situations? Because if they're gonna send Reddick off the same side that he's at, to force to slow him down. Like, hey, you're gonna block or you're gonna take off. Which one are you gonna do? But you have to decide. So
it has to be decided quickly too.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm curious to see how they play him. Is there going to be a lot more? Is there going to be just as many passing plays for Kelce? Is he going to be held back to block a little bit? Are they going to trust their backups to block? Are they going to put a double tight end set on that side wherever Reddick lines up at to be able to have the other tight end chip him while Kelce breaks out? Like, what are you going to do? Because really, we saw what happens when you put a backup tight end blocking.
Oh yeah, you don't want that. That's devastation. You do not want that.
Yeah, I mean, Purdy. I never hoped for an injury. I felt bad for the guy. He's such a young guy. I was really hoping for Purdy to have a great year, and he did. Liked him at Iowa State. Great player. People underestimated him. I thought he was better than a 7th round pick, but clearly I was right. But I didn't. Who's the no in that case? But yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to how are they going to play the pass rush? Are they going to leave Kelce to block, or are they not? If Kelce's not getting open and he's not getting listen, last week he had what 15 catches or 14. It was an obnoxious amount of grabs. I mean, he's the whole team. I mean, that's where Mahomes looks at every single play. I mean, his first read, whether it's a streak, it could be a Hail Mary, and his first read is Kelce. I mean, he doesn't care. And the running game, isn't as dominant as San Fran. We stopped McCaffrey last week, and I think he's dramatically better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire or anybody else they're going to run the ball with. So, how early do they give up on the run? I mean, San Fran gave up pretty early because they had no choice. So if we can put some points on the board, force Kansas City to throw the ball, get a pass rush after Mahomes.
Yeah, because their receivers aren't healthy, as we stated before the show. Like
Tony's beat up, Juju's beat up, McCole Hardman's beat up. So they got 2 or 3 wide receivers, doubtful or questionable right now for this game. So even if they play, it has to make you wonder: are they 100%?
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to be fully, are they going to be fully utilized? And if not, Kelce's going to have a big target.
Kansas City's execution against your Philadelphia Eagles will be the key. And also Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 6 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown in the AFC Championship game against Cincinnati. So he's going to be a little bit of factor. Maybe takes the heat off of Travis, but Travis is going to be a major factor because, like you said, Mahomes is going to look at him even as soon as he hikes the ball. And if he can't. But
I think we're going to see that. I mean, everybody sees that coming. It's about stopping it, right? It's like just like everybody knows that TJ Watt is blitzing every single time he gets a chance to, but good luck stopping him every time, right? So you can know it's coming, but can you stop it when it's coming? Like the Philadelphia quarterback sneak I talked about. Everybody knows what's coming whenever they line up like that.
Stop it. You can't stop it.
He's 93% of the time successful. So it goes to show you it's very rare he doesn't make it.
Right.
So again, we all know that Travis is going to get the ball a lot, or it's going to be targeted at him a lot. I think it comes down to how well TJ Edwards, our middle linebacker there, can play because he's our coverage linebacker. We blitz with everybody else. So I'm excited, man. I think that we stack up well against Kansas City. I don't think it's a shoe-in win. I don't think it's an easy win no matter what. But we'll see.
Well, you're being a realist. You're being a realist, and that's and being a diehard fan. I mean, me, if the Steelers were playing, I'd be like, oh, blah 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 blah. yeah, I mean, you're being a realist when you're thinking about the X's and O's on
Because you got
either
to think
side of the
about it. You
ball.
got to think about it on both sides. I mean, like I want to go into it. I'm positive going in. I'm like, I think my Eagles can win this game. So I'm not saying we're going to lose. I'm just saying that if we're being honest, there's definitely some question marks. And there's definitely a really good matchup on paper. There's really no obvious favorite. I just think that it's all going to come down to the trenches in this game, whether it's their defense against offense, their defensive line against our offensive line, and vice versa. And it's also going to be
Right.
for us is I think we have the better secondary. I think we have a better linebacker
Yeah,
core.
we haven't even hit to that yet because I was
Yeah,
going to talk about the Kansas City's rookie runner Isaiah Palico, 900
yeah,
yards after the second half of the season. So if
yeah.
this rookie can actually take some heat off of Mahomes, maybe, but that defensive line once again is a
Yeah.
big factor. That defensive line, like everybody that you said on this defensive line, it's star-studded for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, first defensive line in NFL history to have, first team to have 4 players with 10 plus sacks. And I told you before the show, they were a sack and a half away from having 5. So not only were they the first team with 4, we almost hit 5. I mean, Fletcher Cox had 8.5, and dude's like 34 years old.
yeah,
We were a sack away from having our entire defensive front. Think about that. That would have been the entire defensive front plus a
yeah,
linebacker with 10 plus sacks. I mean,
yeah.
it just doesn't
That's
happen. It just doesn't
fucking
happen.
yeah. It's fucking it's crazy.
And I mean, then
Crazy.
you have Darius Slay and Bradbury, the corners that were both top 5 PFF all season long. So I mean,
Yeah, they're
it's
league
incredible.
best. They're league best.
Yeah.
In your secondary, and then you have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's tied for 6 interceptions. So
Yep,
your
for the league.
secondary is
And
actually
he
very,
missed.
very
And he
tough.
missed 3 games, by the way. Gardner Johnson missed 3 games, so that 6 picks is in less games than what everybody else had. So
Ooh,
hell of a
okay.
year by
See, I
him.
did not
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. He
But
missed 2
actually,
or 3 games.
Kansas City has Chris Jones and Frank Clark on their defensive line. But like you said, that offensive
Name me
line of
anybody else.
Philadelphia. Yeah. I mean, it's
You
just
know.
going to be a battle of the trenches,
Yep.
And now let me ask you a question. I know when I was doing my research for your Eagles, like the weakest part is is the linebacker core is a little bit below your secondary and your defensive line. Just a little bit. Like I
Well,
don't want to be like disheartening or
yeah,
disrespectful.
no. So,
But
Hassan Reddick is one of the linebackers. So I mean, he's obviously dominant in his own way. So coverage wise, I don't think we have the best linebackers in the world. With that being said, T.J. Edwards, middle linebacker, great coverage guy for the most part. I don't think he's going to stack up with Kelsey very well, but I don't think he's going to have to. There's going to be a lot of safety help. In my opinion, you're going to have to. You're going to have to watch him over the top because he'll burn you so quick.
okay.
And he's so hard to bring down. But yeah, linebackers aren't bad. I mean, Kaiser White came from the Chargers. He's played a pretty good year. I mean, the first week of the season, he caused an interception. So he's played some great run stopping as well this season. TJ Edwards always leads the team in tackles. He's been one of the top 10 in the NFL, I believe. I could be wrong about that.
So would you
exact
give
number.
your linebackers, Rich?
I would say like a
B,
C plus B,
C
maybe.
Okay.
C plus
okay.
B minus is probably where I put them at. I mean, secondary, I probably put it as an A.
And then defensive line
probably an A
plus.
plus. I
Yeah.
mean, just because the numbers are there, right? I mean, there's no arguing the
Right.
numbers. I mean, numbers are numbers for a reason. But yeah, I mean, the linebackers is our weakest part. But then again, look at the rest of the team. It's kind of hard to. It's not really fair to say, oh well, you're the worst part. Well, no shit. I mean, you're one of the best defensive lines and best number 1 secondary in the NFL and the best pass rushing defense in the NFL. Like obviously,
Yeah,
you gotta have a weak spot somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
not everything's
there's only so
100%.
much money you can pay out. I mean, like Jesus. I mean, it's like all Madden over here on defense. I mean, I feel like somebody made this team out of a franchise mode on rookie or something with no restrictions on trades.
This defensive line is fucking scary. I mean,
even the backups are all pros, and Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph. I mean, then you got Jordan Davis as a backup. I mean, the guy comes in every once in a while for a few stops. I mean, Robert Quinn, who hasn't been great, but he can get to the quarterback if he has to. He was an all-pro 2 years ago. So, I mean, there's just 7 guys.
Yeah, but I've never seen a defensive line, and I'm not kissing anybody's ass, but
yeah.
a defensive line, the last defensive line that I feel that was, was the curtain. For me, it was the steel curtain.
Yeah.
And maybe Chicago in '85, but
even
these guys,
purple people eaters, maybe as well.
But these guys are at this time of the day and age of everybody's the quarterback of the offense. This defensive line is like
incredible,
gangbusters. Like this defensive line is fucking scary in the Super Bowl.
It just felt like every play that you watch, you're waiting for an eagle to come off the edge and hit the quarterback every time. I mean, that's all I kept waiting for. I mean, all year round, I'm like, all right, who's hitting them first? I mean, it could be, and that's the other thing. Josh Sweat, I didn't talk about, who's the other side of the line, who also had 10 plus sacks. So there's some guys, man. There's some
Holy
guys.
Shit.
I mean,
and some teams this defensive line might have got maybe 10 sacks in some teams in the NFL. Yeah. And you guys almost got 50.
Yeah,
This
I
is
mean,
going to be something.
I mean, it's we were actually close to the NFL record. I think we fell behind the Bears by like 4 or 5 or something like that to finish the year. It might have been 2. I think we had 70 sacks or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I
Yeah.
don't even know. I don't even again. I don't want to overhype anybody, but I mean, it's
No,
just
I know,
the
but hey,
numbers
this
are
is the
just
Super Bowl
incredible.
preview weekend here. It's
Yeah,
it's very incredible. And like I said, I have it. Everybody's got like almost double digits. It's
yeah,
unreal.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
and yeah. So I mean, you figure looking here, Hargrave had 11, Hassan Reddick had 16.
Jesus
Uh,
God Almighty.
Josh Sweat had 11. Brandon
Yeah,
Graham with 11. Fletcher
all
Cox had
defensive linemen.
7. I'm sorry, I thought he had more.
And Cox at
Like I
one
said,
time was a force in Philadelphia, and he's towards the
yep,
end of his career. And you say this is it. This is it. He'll retire too. Win,
yep,
lose or draw. He's going to go
yep.
to. Okay.
So we finished this year with 70 sacks, 17 interceptions. It's just you can't do much more than that. I mean,
Yeah, we had 16.
yeah. I mean, that's fine, but like sacks alone, 70 opponents in
Yeah.
those same 17. So we had 70 sacks. We allowed a couple more. We allowed a couple, but 70 sacks in a single season only
Yeah.
falls short to the Chicago Bears by 2 sacks for
That
the
was
entire season. So
85. That was probably
yeah,
the
so
85. Yeah.
yep. So 3
Yep.
more sacks, and we would have broken the NFL record for
Holy
most
shit.
sacks in a
And that
season.
85 team, I remember that. I'm a little older than you, but that was
Launch was a
85
midway,
team.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I mean,
85 team was something else. But hey, Robbie, thanks for tuning in. Trisha Farmery Taylor, thanks for tuning in.
I'm
Billy
excited.
Johnson and John Lewis, thank you for tuning in to the Triple B Black and Gold Dynasty Show with my special guest, Rich Smoke, super Philadelphia Eagles fan. He's pumped. He's ready for Sunday night,
Hey, boy.
where his team maybe and can win against the Kansas City Chiefs, but also too the Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Nick Bolton, linebacker Willie
Like
Gay,
him.
which you said might be a
Like
little
him as
hurt,
well.
but
Yep.
they held the Cincinnati Bengals rushing attack to 74 yards in that championship game. Can they stop the Philadelphia Eagles in their run attack? I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see come Sunday night. But
Well, the problem is with Philadelphia is we have 4 different runners that we utilize all the time. All of them play differently. So Jalen Hurts is one of them, right? I mean, out of the
Right.
pocket. You got Boston Scott, who's a great little gadget guy. He reminds me of Darren Sproles. I mean, he's great. I mean, he's a giant killer, but he's good against everybody.
Well, Sproles was
Yeah.
pretty fucking good.
I mean, Sproles is better receiver than anybody else. I mean, that guy was incredible. He played in Philadelphia for a while too. I got lucky
Yes.
enough to watch him for years. But you got Boston Scott, who can run the ball. You got Miles Sanders. You also have Kenny Gainwell, who we've only had for a few years out of Memphis University, and he had over 100 yards against the Giants. He had a huge game against the Niners as well. I mean, so you got 3 running backs that we utilize all 3 of consistently. They all get carries. Then you got Jalen Hurts, who might tuck the ball and run for himself. So there's no Christian McCaffrey is my point, right? Like if you see him come in, you got to you're throwing the ball to Christian McCaffrey, more likely than not.
Right.
You have a guy that comes in, okay, they're clearly going to run the ball. With us, Boston Scott might run it, he might not. I mean, Sanders might, he might not. I mean, Kenny Gainwell might, he might not. Or Jalen Hurts might just say, hey, look that way, goodbye, I'm going that way. There's just no telling. I mean, there's no telling. I mean, it's hard to watch as a fan because I don't know where the hell it's going half the time.
You don't know. So you have no clue where they're running. You're just
watching the Eagles games. They've been faking the camera out all year. There's times where I've missed plays because like you've seen those play actions where like they look the wrong way.
Yeah,
That's happened at least 11 or 12 times this season. That's very rare. Usually it happens twice a year, but I feel like every game it's like the cameras go, oh shit, Jalen Hurts ran that way. I thought that guy had the ball for the whole damn time. I followed him all down the field. What happened? I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, it's a shame we're going to lose offensive coordinator because Shane Steichen actually has some interviews for other teams right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a no. That's a no. I mean, when you win, if your team wins, that's a no-brainer. You're going to lose some key coaches.
Jonathan Gannon's getting interviews as well, defensive coordinator. I mean, obviously, he held together one of the greatest seasons. I mean, I don't know if it's all him. I hated him last year. I mean, I felt about him how you felt about Matt Canada. I couldn't stand him. I mean, his defense last year was awful. It was just, we were terrible defensively last year. Offensively, we were okay, but defense was terrible. So I'm not sold on him yet either, but I mean, he'll probably be a head coach or, whatever he might be. I mean, it happened last time, Frank Reich went off and became a Colts head coach because of us and, screw Doug Peterson too. He can have fun in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, Mr. Weird looking dude over there. You can't, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Peterson's Doug Peterson.
Well, I mean, that was Chargers blew that one, man. That was terrible.
Oh my God. 24 nothing, 31-27. That's doesn't happen in the playoffs.
No. and Kansas City Secretary Justin Reed and Julane Thornhill, and they've been playing they got some great plays out of their rookies. Their number 1 pick, Trent McDuffie, and Josh Williams, Taylor Watson. So John Williams and Taylon Watson. So they got some rookies in the secondary, but I don't know. They got to go against AJ Brown and Devontae Smith
And
and your
then
tight end.
yeah,
Yeah,
Goddard.
there it's
Yeah.
yeah. I
And, and
mean,
and another thing is we utilize 3 running backs. We also utilize 3 tight ends who all play differently. So you got Jack
woo,
Stoll out of Nebraska, who nobody really knows who he is, and we got Grant Calcaterra, who's also a third string. But there are guys that we slip in every once in a while, and that's what I love about Philly. We don't use them all the time, but when we do, you don't know how we're going to use them because you don't see enough film on them. And Calcaterra might come out next play, Stoll comes in, then Goddard. It's just you never know. I mean, that's the incredible part is even as an Eagles fan, if you watch the Steelers every week. You've seen enough of the plays like, okay, I think
yeah,
I have an idea where this is going.
yeah,
I
every
still don't.
time.
I still don't.
Well,
I still have no
our
idea.
offensive coordinator is not like your offensive coordinator, and I know where it's going. So
Yeah.
that boggles my mind. So
It's like,
yeah.
which hat is the ball under? There's one
Yeah.
hat sitting there.
Oh,
It's like
jet
one
sleep
hat.
left, jet sleep white. Maybe let's go for 4th and 1 with Derek Watt, which was actually very good with
Yeah.
6 out of 7 this year. Which for $9 million, it was good.
Somebody didn't teach him that you're not the magician never tells his own tricks. It's like here's Canada. Listen, there's a ball. It's underneath one of these 3 hats. It's not in the left one or the right one. Guess which one it's in. Well, there's only one option left, buddy. We all know where it's going. We appreciate it. But it's Canada's bad. Canada's
I know
just
he is.
bad, man.
I know he's gonna make my podcast explode probably because of how I'm gonna be bitching about him because we're gonna be averaging 17.6 points a game. So it'll be lovely, and I'll be bitching. So
then you lost Flores on top of that, so you might be allowing 34.7 a game. We'll see.
Oh man, yeah, that'll. Oh god, don't say that, man. Holy shit! But Jeff Blyson, thanks for tuning in. Okay, so you reviewed. You told people on the Triple B Black Gold Dynasty all the positions, your key players. I tried to do the best I could with Kansas City from what I know, but I'm sorry they're not black and gold. If it was a Steelers Eagles game, I'd be losing my fucking mind. But and I'd be hyped up just like
I'd be a lot more comfortable. No offense.
Yeah, because we got Matt Canada's offense in this.
Exactly.
But then he'll be signing for 5 years after that.
Here comes the screen. Here comes the 5-yard route. Here comes the screen. Oh, they're gonna run this one.
Yeah. Here's a jet sweep right. But so putting it all to the side here, Sunday night, right now. I know who you're taking, but I got to hear it on the show. Who you taking?
Philadelphia by a small margin. I know a lot of Eagles fans want to see blowouts. I mean, I would love to see one. I mean, I would love to just end the game in the first quarter and call it a year, but it doesn't happen like that. So I like Philly, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people think. I think that 1.5 point spread might be a big difference maker, but I wouldn't make a bet. I don't feel comfortable enough either way yet, but I'll take Philly somewhere around 3 to 4 points. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a one-score game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I think it's going to be very, very, very tight.
Okay, and I'm
like not offended Philly. No matter what you say.
No. I do. I like Philly's defensive line, but this hidden component of Patrick Mahomes, he cannot, because if he goes 1-2, I'm telling you, it might be that mystical steak of his quarterback presence. He has to do whatever he has to do. I don't know how he's going to do it. Like we talked about, we don't think that we talked that ankle injuries, probably that high ankle sprain's not as bad as we say. It's probably like a rib and fake wrestling injury here.
Yeah.
But I believe Patrick Mahomes and Travis are going to be that combo. I don't know about the Kansas City's defense. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think I just but I'm going to go. This is so hard. I'm going to just go differently than you did. I respect you as a person and your football knowledge. You had a great year, and I'm not going to lose any sleep if Kansas City loses. But I'll just take it for the show. And Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to go with that hidden factor of Patrick. Also, just like you, it'll be low. It'll be a couple points, 3 points. It ain't going to be. Hopefully, and I don't know how the kickers. Hopefully, how's your kicker? Not like Dallas. Okay, so it could be a field goal to win it.
I mean, his second ever field goal in Philadelphia was in 2017, where he hit a 62-yarder to beat the Giants at the end of the
Well, there you go.
I mean, Duke can play ball.
Butler Butler from Kansas City can hit too. So,
Yep.
but like I said, I'll go Kansas City by a field goal. Now let me ask you this: since you took the Eagles, your MVP, just speculation. Who would you like to, if you win? Who do you think it would be?
I mean, everybody always wants to go quarterback, but I don't know, man. I mean, I'll go Jalen Hurts because I think they're going to use him in a lot of multifaceted ways. But I would not be surprised if a defensive player is the MVP of this game, no matter which side it goes on. Whether it be Chris Jones or somebody like that from Kansas City, or for Philly, though, I would say it might be a defensive guy. We'll see. I mean, because like Brandon Graham, he was the reason why we beat the Patriots in 2017. That strip sack on Tom Brady there at the end of the game made the difference. So for me, I think it's going to be Jalen. As far as offensively, defensively, it might be one of them guys in the pass rush. I would love to see it be Reddick. Just to finish his year off that way would be incredible. Made a big play last week. Would love to see him do it again. So we'll see if history repeats itself. Because last time in 2017, we strip sacked, we picked six the quarterback there in Minnesota, and then we had a strip sack in that game, and we also came back in the Super Bowl and strip sacked 2 games in a row. So we'll see if we can strip sack him again. Screw Mahomes.
Well, that's probably if they're going to win, that's who they're going to win on, the arm and legs of him. So I'm just going to take the safe bet.
But can they score enough to make up for that terrible defense? Not terrible defense, but not
as good as the Eagles.
No. I mean, we just beat the Niners defense, which is rated higher than Kansas City.
Right.
It was #1 defense in the NFL. I mean, we've beaten some defenses this year. People said the Eagles had the easiest schedule in the league. If you look back now, actually, half of those teams were either playoff teams or fringe. You guys only missed the playoff by, a game and a half. So it wasn't like we played easy teams. I mean, Jacksonville made the playoffs. Giants made the playoffs. We beat them 3 damn times.
If we would have went 2-2 in the AFC East, we would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't like we had everybody said, it's the easiest schedule in football. At first, it looks like it, right? So we always talk about how it doesn't really matter who you play based on last year because it's a new year. So everybody's like, you played the Lions first. Well, the Lions missed the playoffs by 1 game. Had Seattle lost that last game in week 18, the Lions would have made the playoffs. Instead, they missed out by 1 game. Green Bay missed out by 1 game by losing to Detroit. Pittsburgh missed out 1 game. Jacksonville makes the playoffs. I mean, we played a lot of really good teams. We spanked up on Minnesota. They were the 2nd-ranked team in the NFC. We just trashed the Niners. So, I mean, you got to give us credit at some point and stop taking it away from us by saying, you played the worst teams. I mean,
no, you
we
can't.
beat who we had to.
Yeah, you're supposed to beat who you have to beat.
Yep.
That's the thing.
Yep.
That's what the problem with us is. That first 5-6 weeks, man, we didn't do what we needed to do. We didn't handle our business, and that's why we are golfing and the end of January. And
so is Brady, and Rodgers just won a Pebble Beach tournament, so he's out there golfing himself.
He don't care. He's the villain. I saw an interview where he wants to be the villain, and he can be the villain. And I like him on Pat McAfee's show, but hey, I don't like to play against him, but whatever. But now I appreciate you for look, man. This is
Always a pleasure, man.
Your football stuff, and you are you are a welcome guest on this show as long as I'm doing this stuff. And we are going to get you in for some pulp culture stuff too. But I wanted to and I wanted to bring you on because it was your team. And I said, if you get in and like the invitation was.
Well, I told you to send the invite out.
I know.
And
I put the bat signal up and you accepted. And you know your team and you know what's going on. And I appreciate you. Look at that.
I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Don't tell anybody else in Philadelphia because I'll become the bad guy. So.
Well,
not all Eagles fans hang from light poles. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. So,
well, it's the Yinzers, man. We, if we lose, we have a bad week, and I have to put my head in the sand. But
your Jagger bushes and gum bands.
Yeah.
I've been to Pittsburgh. I had somebody teach me all the same. I dated a girl out of Pittsburgh actually. I was up there one time for a couple of days, and she was like, "Oh yeah, can you hand me that gum band?" And I'm like, "What the hell is that?" She's like, "The gum band." I'm like, "You mean a rubber band?" And then she's like, "Oh well." And then she said something. "Oh, watch out when you walk around that corner," because it was like later on another day. She's like, "Watch out for the Jagger bush." And I'm like, "The what?"
Jagger bush. Yeah.
You mean the prickle bush? She's like, "No, the Jagger bush." I'm like, "The thorn bush." She's like, "No, the Jagger bush." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And then yins, like we say, you say y'all or yous or whatever. Yins are annoying. I'm like,
yeah.
Who?
It's a culture here on this west.
It's different. I still don't know all of it, but I went there for almost a week, and I was like, okay, there's a whole bunch of shit here I don't even want to learn. It's
a dialect. It's a dialect. Like
yins up there are weird, man. I don't know.
Yeah, and I live
Jagger bushes.
I live like an hour and 15 minutes north of Pittsburgh, and I still people
Oh,
know
you're
that
way away from me then, man. Woo.
yeah. So
You're as
so
north.
I'm
You're northeast.
Indiana. Yeah, Indiana, PA. So when I
That's
go
awesome.
out and when I used to live in Florida, they could tell I was from Western Pennsylvania. I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a hidden fact by any means.
No, no. Well,
I
I had
mean,
always had a Steeler hat on too. So I guess
well, that's
that was
cheating. That's cheating.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's cheating. Yeah.
That's
But
like me
like I
going down
said,
south wearing a bracelet. They're like, "Oh, you're an Eagles fan." I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I'm like, "Oh, wait, that's right. I got something on my wrist. Never mind."
but no, look, man. I thank you. I think
Always a pleasure.
this is the third time. This is the third time you've been on the show. And
Twice on yours, and then you came on to
oh
back when
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
on back when
That's
I was
twice.
on that. Yeah, so twice
Okay,
here,
so
and then you came on to
okay.
the Extra Point when I used to be on there
Right,
a
right,
while back.
right.
Yep.
Well, no, it's you're a friend of the show, brother, and like I said, when we do a mega cast for draft, your expertise, the invite will definitely be thrown out there,
I
and
look
then you
forward to
could
it.
have your Eagles stuff on, and if it's all good, you could be, you know, rubbing the Lombardi, in the backfield, I guess, because if
And
you
then get
got
a
it,
10th pick in the draft as well. So I mean, you can't beat that, right? I mean, there's nothing like draft capital in this league. So
yeah, I can't believe you got a 10th round number 1 pick. That's amazing, man.
10th pick in the first
God
round. Plus,
damn.
we have our original first round. So I'm pretty sure
God.
I could be wrong, but I know we traded one of our third rounders to get Robert Quinn, but I think we have a stockpile. So we'll see.
Oh, I wish we had a stockpile.
I'm not thinking all season yet, so I haven't even looked. I haven't even
Right, you don't have
remembered.
to because you know
I'm not
why you
there
don't have
yet.
to? You're in the Super
Super
Bowl,
Bowl. That's
brother.
exactly why. I'll worry about the
Congratulations.
draft after this week.
Yes.
Monday, I'll start looking.
Yeah. Monday when you're going out picking up all the fucking newspapers in Philly.
I'll be
and putting
down
them
the
in
city,
frames.
so I'll let you guys
Oh,
know. Maybe
if you win, you'll be at the parade. I'm sure.
I'll probably be on Facebook Live at some point, so you'll probably see some chaos live if you follow my news feed. So
okay. Well,
it'll be fun.
like I said, I appreciate you.
man.
I wish you the best of luck Sunday. And thank you for your football knowledge and coming on for the Triple B Black and Gold Dynasty show. Everybody give it up for Mr. Rich Smoke.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
You as well.
Well, thank you. God bless you. And like I said, good luck Sunday.
Appreciate it, man.
So yeah, this is my first Super Bowl preview show, and it was with an Eagles fan. So it's like breaking bread.
If you had odds on that, you won a lot of money if you put $1 on that, right?
Yeah, I can't. But Rich, I can't win anything on. I can't win anything on FanDuel. Hey, Jamie, how you doing? Hopefully everything's good, brother. But we are going to get out of here because
keep supporting the show. By the way, comment, share it. Make sure you guys keep popping in. So, Bubba's always trying to come up with some good content for you guys. Don't forget it. So black and yellow, I guess, or black and gold. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Depends on if you're Wiz Khalifa or not. I don't know. But either way, I wish you all the best of luck in the off season. Hopefully, Matt Canada, retires.
Yeah. I'll be.
Maybe Tomlin will quit. Who knows?
I don't. Well, he's going to go off on his own terms, brother. He's not going
bring
to get
Cowher back.
I love Cowher Power, but also I was a Chuck Noll. I always loved Chuck Noll
until he spit in Heinz Ward's face on live television. That was a little bit much. So
yeah.
Again, I know my sports, man. I might not be a Steelers fan, but I know my Steelers.
I know you do. And like I said, you got an invite for the Mega Cast draft. Yep. We'll be doing that in 2 more months. Free agency's coming. I will see you guys next week on the Triple B Black and Gold Dynasty, and I also see you guys Friday night for the Triple B Experience. And also be going to do a special interview with Donnie Fulmer and Chris Coleman from my boys, the APWF former tag team champions, Team Tap Out. We're going to talk pro wrestling and some ins and outs of what they've been doing lately. And that'll be out this weekend, but we're recording tomorrow in the studio. So, Rich, once again, thank you so much. Everybody, stay safe out there. I guess go Philadelphia for you, brother. Go ahead and say it. Here we go Steelers.
Go Birds!
Here we go, Steelers. Thank you, guys, and take care and good night.